All right, let's jump right in. Today we are talking about something called working capital management. Now I know, it sounds a little technical, maybe a little dry, but trust me, this is the secret engine room that determines whether a company thrives or completely takes a nosedive.
So let me start by asking you a question, a little puzzle. Can a company that is, by all accounts, profitable, they're making sales, their books look good, could that same company actually go bankrupt?
Believe it or not, the answer is a huge yes. And this catches a lot of people off guard. See, profit on paper is just not the same thing as actual cash in the bank. The story of how a successful-looking business can suddenly fail is almost always hidden right there, in its day-to-day cash flow.
Okay, so here's our game plan for breaking this all down. First, we'll talk about the corporate juggle to get the big picture. Then we'll dive into why cash is the company's lifeline. After that, we'll get into the waiting game of receivables and all that stuff on the shelf or inventory. And finally, we'll tie it all together by finding the right balance.
All right, first up, the corporate juggle. So what on earth is working capital, really? At its core, it's the money that keeps the lights on and fuels the entire day-to-day operation of a business.
You know, I love this analogy because it just makes everything click. Think about it. Profit, that's the gas. That's what makes the car go fast and win races. But working capital, that's the oil. You might not even think about it when things are running smoothly, but if you run out, that entire engine will seize up and grind to a halt, no matter how much fuel you have in the tank.
Okay, so let's get a little technical for a second, but I promise it's easy. The formula is just your current assets. That's stuff like cash and inventory, minus your current liabilities, which are basically all the bills you have to pay soon. The number you get tells you if the company has enough financial juice to cover all its short-term debts and stay healthy.
So let's zero in on the first and honestly the most crucial piece of this puzzle, cash. It really is the lifeblood of any business. It's the ultimate form of liquidity.
Now you might be wondering, why would a company just let cash sit there when it could be invested in earning money? Well, it really boils down to three big reasons. First, the obvious one, for daily transactions, paying salaries, buying supplies. Second is as a safety net, a rainy day fund for when things go wrong. And third, you hold cash so you can be ready to jump on unexpected opportunities, like a supplier offering a massive discount if you can pay right now.
But here's the thing, it's not enough to just have cash. You've got to make it work for you. So let's walk through a super practical, real-world example. A bank comes to a company and says, hey, we can help you get paid by your customers 2 days faster. The big question is it worth the fee?
Okay, check this out. Let's say this company collects about 150 grand a day from its customers. If the bank speeds that up by just 2 days, boom. All of a sudden, their average cash balance jumps by $300,000. That's money they can actually use right now instead of just waiting for it to come in. And that extra cash isn't just monopoly money, right? The company can immediately put it to work. Let's say they invest it and earn an 8% return. Well, now that $300,000 is generating an extra $24,000 in earnings every single year. That's the upside. But of course, the bank isn't doing this out of the goodness of its heart. There's always a cost. In this case, they charge an annual fee of $15,000 for the service. So now you just do the simple math. They're earning an extra 24 grand, and it's only costing them 15 grand. That's a $9,000 net win. It's a total no-brainer. They take the deal. And that, right there, is what smart cash management looks like in action.
And that whole idea of getting paid faster leads us perfectly into our next topic, accounts receivable. This is basically the flip side of the coin. It's all the money that your customers owe you.
Put simply, your receivables are just a pile of IOUs from your customers. Every time you sell something on credit, you get this asset on your books. But the real challenge is turning that asset, that promise to pay, into cold, hard, spendable cash as quickly as you possibly can.
So how do you speed that up? Well, you've probably seen something like 2 tens net 30 on an invoice before. This is a classic tool. It's basically a little incentive, a friendly bribe. It says, hey, pay me within 10 days and I'll give you a 2% discount. If not, no worries. The full amount is due in 30 days. It's a simple but really effective trick to get that cash in the door faster.
Now for the third piece of our working capital puzzle, and it's the one you can usually see and touch. Inventory. We're talking about all the actual stuff a company has on its shelves, just waiting to be sold.
And this is the million-dollar question for so many businesses. I mean, think about it. If you have too little, you risk running out, and a customer who wants to buy something just walks away. But if you have too much, you've basically got a warehouse full of cash just sitting there collecting dust. So where's the magic number?
Well, the answer is found in this constant tug-of-war between three competing costs. First, you have carrying costs. That's things like rent for the warehouse, insurance, the risk of stuff becoming obsolete. Then you have ordering costs, the fee you pay every single time you place a new order with the supplier. And finally, the big one, stock-out costs. That's the painful cost of losing a sale because you didn't have what the customer wanted.
And this visual just nails it. See those two curving lines? One is your ordering cost. It goes down the more you order at once. But the other line is your storage cost, and it goes up the more stuff you have sitting around. The entire game of inventory management is to find that perfect low point right in the middle, that sweet spot where your total costs are at their absolute minimum.
Okay, so we've got our three big levers: cash, receivables, and inventory. Now let's pull back and bring it all together. Because how a company chooses to juggle these three things, well, it says everything about its strategy and its appetite for risk. You can almost think of it like two different kinds of drivers. On one side, you have the conservative, play-it-safe driver. They keep a ton of cash in the bank, lots of inventory on the shelves, just in case. It's super low risk, but all that safety comes at a cost: lower returns. Then you have the aggressive, high-reward driver. They run lean and mean, barely any cash, just enough inventory to get by. This frees up a ton of capital for higher returns and growth, but man, if just one thing goes wrong, they could be in some serious trouble.
And that is really what this all boils down to. Managing working capital is not just some boring accounting exercise. It's about strategy, it's about risk management, and ultimately, it's about survival.
So I want to leave you with this thought. The next time you walk into a store or read about a big company, start looking for the clues. Is the place packed to the gills with inventory? Do they offer you a discount to pay upfront? You'll start to see these little signs everywhere. And then just ask yourself, is this business playing it safe, or are they putting the pedal to the metal? The answer can tell you a whole lot about their chances of making it.